Hey, Larry Mednick coming from very hot Florida, mid-August. Anyway, today we're going to do a brake bleed, and it's a question I get because there's so many different ways to bleed a brake system, and there's different types of brake systems, and so ours is actually, I believe, the simplest. In fact, these are just the items that you're going to need. We have a pump sprayer here, and this pump sprayer has been modified with just a piece of fuel line into a basic fitting. And then we've reduced it again here. So it's homemade, and there are pressure bleeding systems that you can purchase, but oil cans, pressure bleeders, whatever you need to do to get a hose this size that'll fit over the bleed nipples on the calipers is all that you need. We have a 1/4-inch wrench, and by all means, do not forget to have a roll of paper towels when you do this, because it does get messy. Now, this is not brake fluid. In fact, if you use brake fluid on our system, you will ruin all of the seals in both the master and in the caliper. This is automatic transmission fluid, so just ATF from Walmart or the AutoZone, but that's all you need. So behind me, what we have here is a brand new REVOLT that literally has zero fluid. It is completely filled with air inside of every brake line on this machine. Now on a REVOLT, and I've kept this disconnected just so you'll be able to catch it better with the camera, this is our reservoir. And this much fluid in this hose is going to be more than enough. In fact, we're only going to bring the fluids up to probably about right here, and that's all that we're going to need to keep our system purged. One of the other things that you'll need to do is make sure that your parking brake valve is off so that it is an open line, otherwise we're not going to get very far at all. So the thing to remember, whether you're doing a reverse bleed or pressure bleed, which is what we're doing, or traditional bleed, which is where you would pump the master cylinder and try to pump fluid down into the brakes and then bleed them at the calipers, we're going to go reverse. So what we're looking to do is that when we fill up the brake system, we're going to actually have the brake fluid come up through the master cylinder and then come out of that reservoir hose that hopefully you'll be able to see in a minute. The thing to kind of visualize is how air works. Air always goes to the top, and air can get trapped in some places in the calipers. So being that this one is completely dry, it's going to take a little bit more to get a brand new empty system bled, but here's how we do it. So maybe come around this side here. And this will make a mess, so you want to be aware of where you're working. A painted floor works really, really great because you can just wipe it up really, really easy. So I've just gone ahead and I've loosened up this bleed nipple. And again, we're using it as a fill nipple instead of a bleed nipple. We're going to go ahead and put our hose over it. And I'm just pushing the hose on. Okay. And then I'm going to pump up our sprayer. And I could feel it had plenty. Now the fact that I shot a couple of air bubbles into the line to start doesn't really matter because it's all air. And now I don't need to bleed the entire system. I just need to bleed this caliper up through this brake line into the T. So I'm going to give it just a little bit more. And when I think I've about got it, I'm going to just tighten this up with my hand. I'm not too worried about air getting in there. And then I'm going to tighten it up with the wrench, and I do want this tight. And you can see the fluid starting to get on my hands and everywhere else. All right, and now we can go to the second brake caliper over here. If you notice, my reservoir hose is still dry. There's no red fluid in it because I'm probably dry inside of my brake line. But hopefully, I've made it up to this T right here. And we've got the saddlebags off so you can see the brake line. That brake line just runs straight down here. And there's the T right there. So we're going to break this nipple loose here. And then usually once you do that, you can use your hand if you like, or a box, and this is 1/4 inch by the way. A little box 1/4 inch really works well. Get this guy on there nice and tight. And we'll go ahead and squeeze the trigger. Now, while we're doing this, you can turn around and start watching that master cylinder. There it goes. It just started coming. You missed it. There it goes. All right, and that's that. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up.
Sorry, guys.
Here's what my hand looks like after doing this brake job. So, we'll get to our towel, one for the face, because it is so hot down here in Florida right now. And now we may have a spongy brake system. That is entirely possible. So we're going to see. And yep, right down, you can see some of the air bubbles coming up here. Definitely lots of air bubbles coming up. Now I'm starting to get some pedal here. Okay, now I definitely have brakes. I can feel I have brakes. Definitely have brakes. We're going to just add a little bit more fluid and so we don't get a super hard pedal now. So I can use this same bleed. And you want to use the forward caliper. There's two of them on here. We got four brakes on, or two on each wheel. And when you first start, you want to make sure that you're adding fluid to the caliper that doesn't have the main brake line going to it. Now back, let's take a look at that master cylinder. I'm almost overfilling it, so I better stop. And then we'll go ahead and tighten this up. And then we're going to see if this pedal is hard. Nope, still a little bit soft. I've got brake, but it takes just a little bit. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to actually have you with the camera push down onto the brake pedal with one hand. And
that would be me.
We're going to, all right, so you're making pressure down there?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just loosening, and I just got a little squirt of air. I want you to release the brake pedal now once. Push the brake pedal back down again. Great. I'm going to go to the other caliper. I don't know if you can see, but all I'm doing is I'm going a quarter turn. I'm loosening. I just got a little squirt of air. Okay, this one you'll be able to see. Go ahead and release the parking brake and push it down one more time. Okay, now I'm on this one. I'm going to just go a quarter turn and hopefully we'll get a little squirt of air. That one did not get any air, so we didn't have any air in that. And then I'll do the very last bleed, which is up front.
Should I release and then?
No, I think you're good.
Okay.
There was no fluid, no air in that one either. So, was that enough air out of the system? Let's take a look. I'm going to push the pedal down, and that is correct. We now have a good, hard brake pedal. So that's as hard as it gets. We're starting with air everywhere, 100%. Now let's just take a quick peek. We've got a 3-year-old REVOLT over here, and I want to show you the brake system on it real quick, because it has a spongy brake. Now, his reservoir is a little bit stained up, but I can tell you, I don't think there's any fluid in the reservoir. And let me take his parking brake off. He's got a hard pedal, but I want to add some fluid. Now you can certainly take a syringe and try to add it there, but I'm going to simply add fluid to the system just like I just did on a new brand new aircraft. So we'll come back over here. It doesn't matter which bleed screw I go to add to it.
And do you want me to press the brake again?
Nope, nope, we're going to be adding. So this is like the beginning of the video.
Okay.
So I'm going to add fluid here. And now go take a look. See if you can see the fluid coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you see the fluid. Now
Yeah.
that time it happened real quick. Well, that's because we didn't have to put all the fluid into the system. We already had brake fluid or ATF fluid in the system. We were just adding to it. So what I add here comes up there. And now my pedal's rock hard. So that's it. It's fairly simple. In some cases you may need somebody to push the brake pedal down to get the air out of the system 100% on a new system, but usually if you're just having to add a little bit of fluid to the system, you can just add it, it'll show up there, and you're done. So thanks for watching. Hope this helps some of you guys out there doing your own brakes.